Alright guys, we're going to pretty much conclude everything with Pythagorean Theorem. As I stated, Pythagorean Theorem will be a huge chunk of your STAR test. So here go the last bit of things. When I see a right triangle, I should think of what? Pythagorean Theorem. And if you're not comfortable saying that, you should just say, hey, the formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I say about 80% of the time, if you see anything that is a right triangle in 8th grade math, you should be thinking about Pythagorean Theorem. And what we're saying when we say a squared plus b squared, we're saying that the area of the leg plus the area of the leg is equal to the area of the hypotenuse. And one of the things I also want you guys to remember, the hypotenuse is always going to be the biggest side. So remember we said the area of the leg plus the area of the leg equals the area of the hypotenuse. We're not saying that the leg plus the leg equals the hypotenuse. It's the area of the leg plus the area of the leg equals the area of the hypotenuse. And as you guys work these out, you will understand it a little bit better. Okay? And when we talk about that, I also know that it will be symbolized by this. That leg is going to be on that part of the right triangle, will be on that part of the right triangle, and the hypotenuse will be on that slanted line, which is opposite of this 90-degree. Okay? So let's go in here. Let's take a look at this shape right here. Okay? We have a right triangle in here, and we're going to label everything. And remember, that hypotenuse is opposite. That hypotenuse is opposite of that 90-degree. Okay? So I know that's going to be C. Alright? I also know that my legs can interchange. The legs will be on that 90-degree portion, which is A and B. And remember, these two can switch out, but you cannot switch this out. This will always be C. That hypotenuse always the longest side. Okay? Now, the final part. This is really important. If I square root a number, it gives me the unit or side length. And I really want you to circle this right here. That's really important, because it may ask you for the area. Okay? If it is squared, it gives me the area. So for instance, when I'm solving my problems, let's say I'm at this part and they said A2 equals 100. Okay? Well, the area, if they ask for the area, you just stop right there, because that's what the area is 100. But hey, if they want the side length of a number, let's say they want the side length of this area right here. Okay, then you know you square root it, and that's how I get the side length of 5. And you notice that the side length is that variable by itself. And when we talk about area, it is squared. Okay? Let's take a look at the next portion now. Now, last part. Really important. When looking for the hypotenuse, one of the first things we want to do is add the legs. Once you have completed everything, you're going to add the legs. So, for example, we got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So watch this. I'm putting everything in here, and I'm just using some random numbers right now. Okay, so I got 9 plus 36. And remember, this is 3 squared. It's not 3 times 2. Because think about it, that's 3 times 2. If I were to create that, is that a square? No, and I talked to many of you all about that. It has to be a square. Okay, so to make this a square, now we got equal sides. Okay. Now remember, if we're trying to find the hypotenuse, we're going to add the legs. So we add the legs now. Okay. Now, what specifically are we looking for? If we're looking for the area, then the answer is 45. Okay? But if I'm looking for the side length, or unit, what do we do again? We square root it. So we square root 45 and we get 6.7. All right. Let's take a look at this last portion. If we're looking for a leg, we want to subtract the leg from the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's look at an example of that. Okay, once again, I'm going to use random numbers. I want to put all my numbers in here. I got 6 squared plus b squared, and remember that's b squared, that's difference. That's 6 squared. I replace that with 6, and I'm just bringing this down because I'm trying to find that leg. Equals 10 squared. Okay, so 36. All right, and remember, this is the key. When you're lost on something, ask yourself, can I do it on both sides, in which it will give me my answer. If you can't do it on both sides, in which it will leave you with a correct answer, then you know you're choosing the wrong step. So what can I do to make this work? I will have to subtract it on both sides. Okay, so it'll be b squared equals 64. So if we're looking for the area, I know my answer is 64. But if we're looking for the side length or unit, I know my answer is 8. And if you ever lost, you can always slide this back in here. You can say, hey, the area of this, which we said was 36, plus the area of 64. We just said, hey, that's 64 equals 100. You can always slide the numbers back in there to verify, hey, if you're on the right track. Now, what I highly suggest you do is go in there and highlight various parts or add little tidbits that you think is going to help you understand or remember things regarding the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, on the STAR test, it's about 80% of the, I'm not going to say 80% of the questions, but it's about 10 to 15% of the total questions that will deal with Pythagorean theorem. So it's a huge component on the STAR test. And I've seen it on other core testing as well, where it's very important. As far as the 80% rule I was speaking on, if you see a right triangle in math, as far as the 8th grade, I highly suggest the first thing you think of is what? I know you can't say it. I know you can't pronounce it. So just say, hey, I'm going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, guys, that is it. That concludes the video on Pythagorean theorem. Thank you.